Welcome to the Chamber Vibes podcast with your host, Brittany Timmons, the Greater Guthrie Chamber of Commerce CEO and President. In this podcast, you will hear from local guests who will discuss topics such as leadership, small business, and our vibrant community. You'll also hear success stories and tips from amazing local businesses, dive into important news, meet community leaders, and find out how you can get involved in our community. From the Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful and historic downtown Guthrie, America, here is Brittany Timmons.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to say Happy New Year because this is the first Chamber Vibes episode for 2023. So it might be January the 12th, but that's okay. We're still in the new year.
You bet.
So I'm excited to be back and ready to have some great fun again in 2023 with Chamber Vibes. So I have on today as my guest, Dr. Mike Simpson with Guthrie Public Schools. So how are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Brittany.
Absolutely. So back to school.
Yeah.
Things are back in action.
Back rocking and rolling.
That's good. So we're halfway through the school year. Mm-hmm. Right? And we're, I don't know, are we post-pandemic now? Can we say that?
I certainly hope we are.
I feel like, yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, you grow with anything that
Sure.
you're faced with.
Mm-hmm.
We grew enough through that. We need to move on.
Absolutely, yeah. But I was like, am I going to get in trouble for saying that? Because I feel like that's where we are. And I know it's still a real thing. It's something that won't go away. And we've had to change how we do things because of it. But I feel like now the school year does feel a little more normal. Yeah. As parents, we're able to do a little more with the schools and things like that. So how have things been going at GPS?
Well, I think we've had a great year so far. Our numbers are up. In fact, we probably are approaching some overcrowding numbers. I think that's a safe statement to make in a couple of our buildings. That's a good problem to have because that's a sign that the community's growing. It's a sign that we are, education is a choice anymore on how you want it delivered. And
Sure.
People are choosing GPS and the old Choose Guthrie.
Choose Guthrie, that's right. We love that.
And we're excited about that. We're excited about the things that the community has allowed us to do. And then, not everything that came from COVID was bad.
Right.
We got a lot of federal dollars through COVID that we were able to put toward some projects that we already wanted to do and some construction, as well as add some folks and some services that maybe we couldn't have for our students prior to that. And so that's all been good because we're reaping the benefits of those things, and we have this as we started the school year. And so all of that is good, and I think our staff's done an amazing job on trying over the past 2 years for sure to bring normalcy back to our students that were in many ways not living in a normal world. And I've got a son that's in third grade, and he was in kindergarten when we shut down.
Right.
And that the kids that are in that age group, that's such an important time for learning how to read. Right. And so we're still playing catch up with that group of kids, and our staff's done an amazing job to grow them as much as we can to get them where they need to be.
Right, and my daughter's a year younger than Colin, and so I know how that is, and it was like pre-K for her, but it was just crazy because all of a sudden we are as parents are trying to work if we're working and educate the kids, and it was just difficult because it wasn't a normal learning environment for them,
and we came back that next year, and we were in-person instruction 5 days a week, which was not the norm in this region of the state, but it was so disruptive because we were under quarantine mandates, and we were sending, we sent a lot of healthy kids home, and they couldn't. You can say what you want to about distance learning. There's no substitute for being in the classroom.
Right.
And we sent a lot of kids home because that was what was prescribed for us to do, and we were doing the best that we could with it.
Right. And I think as parents too, I can vouch for that. Like, it's different if they were already used to a homeschool environment But if they aren't, then all of a sudden, like, I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
And I mean, kudos to our teachers, because I have no patience for it or the education, to even teach my children. And so it was challenging for sure. So it's exciting to be kind of done with that, so to speak, and moving forward. And the growth, I think that's just so exciting for Guthrie.
Well,
and like I said, it's a good problem to have, because I know it.
When you think
up
about
challenges.
inside the city limits of Guthrie, we've got over 800 houses platted.
I know.
I mean, the school district has been growing from the south, from the Edmond Guthrie district line north for years. And we've addressed that growth with Charter Oak Elementary. But now the growth is, it's inside the city limits. And that's exciting. But it's because I gotta find desks, because those houses are going to come with kids.
Right. Sure. And we want that.
Yeah.
We would love to see new families, young families, relocate here or move here from wherever and make Guthrie home. So it's definitely something we want, but comes with its own challenges.
Certainly does, but it's exciting. For
sure. So can we talk about some of the projects that you were able to do with the COVID relief fund money?
Much of our heat and air infrastructure was beyond the end of its life. And we were going to address that in the bond issues. And the bond issue that we passed in 2019, we were able to take a lot of that money and place it in those projects. And what that did is it gives us the flexibility, because I think everyone knows that construction and inflation have just, it's been an exponential growth of what it costs to build things.
Right.
And the tail end of that project is to replace Cotterill. Well, the price to replace Cotterill is much higher than it was when we passed that bond issue.
Right.
And we allowed for inflation on the budget figure, but we didn't know, at that time, we didn't have this was the spring of 2019. We were essentially a year away, or 10 months away from the closure,
right,
and the true pandemic. And so we didn't know that this was coming. But by putting these projects into COVID money, it gives us flexibility on the backside to try to fully fund and build Cotterill the way we promised it to the voters. The work that we've done, either through COVID money or insurance money, thanks to the flood at the junior high, we will essentially, by the time that project is done, we will have completely new windows. We've put a new roof on that building, and we will have a completely new heat and air system.
Awesome. That
was all put in 1996 when the building first got air conditioning.
Oh, my.
And so that's a part of this. We've completely redone the heat and air system at Guess, which was built in 1989 and was beyond its life. And then we've addressed a lot of the issues at the high school with regard to heat and air. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that was all part of the original bond issue was to renovate the restrooms at the high school. Well, that project was just really to change out the restrooms and change out the fixtures and try and modernize them. When we looked at the money that we could receive and the needs that we felt like were truly there, we expanded that project to include the lobby of the gym and enlarge that and make that area and that space a lot more welcoming. But that was a bottleneck area for students during class change. And so being able to open that space up, it was a twofold benefit, because where do visitors to winter sports, what's their impression of Guthrie? It's formed by how they walk into that gym.
Absolutely.
And by walking in there and seeing that welcoming space versus the cobbled up area that was essentially the product of 3 separate buildings that were put together at about the same place, being able to do that ties it all together, gives it a completely different feel, and then gives us an opportunity for transitions during class changes at the high school for
So it
students.
serves many purposes.
Oh yeah, and
I will say I got to go the other night to the wrestling
Yeah.
match, which I know that was a tough night against Tuttle.
Yeah.
But that was my first wrestling match to attend, and we had an absolute blast. And my kids got to see a new sport that they were not familiar with, and it was awesome. But as soon as I walked in, and of course I knew, just doing what I do with the chamber, I knew things were going on over there. But walking in, just to go in and just watch the wrestling match, it's beautiful. So if you have not seen it, get out there for a winter sports.
We're real proud of it, and we've done a lot of work to that gym to make it a location where we could host other events, because previously the seating was not very good. It was not air conditioned. The lighting was not very good. It just didn't speak well to our school district. And now with the air conditioning and
The nice seats.
and the new seating and now the new lobby, it opens up a lot of possibilities for other events that can be on the high school campus. We've moved the one that's probably the most significant is we've moved the homecoming alumni assembly into the gym from the cafeteria, and it had outgrown the cafeteria. And
That's a huge event.
Yeah, and we're just very pleased to be able to show that off to the alums, let them see what we're doing with their school.
That's awesome. So yes, I mean, obviously the bond passing in 2019 was huge, and remind everyone, I mean, that was the first bond that had been passed since.
That was the second in a row.
That's
and
right.
that was the first time in the history of our school district we passed two in a row. Previous to that, I believe there had been 10 that had failed.
Right.
And it put us in a precarious situation because we had no financial stream to maintain our buildings, much less consider new buildings.
Right.
But here's what the other product of that. I was talking with the vice president of Ideal Homes, and they have over 300 homes platted to build in our community.
And one of our chamber members.
Yeah. And most of their homes will be geared toward potentially younger families. They're not going to be 4,000 square foot mansions. They're going to be 14 to 2,000 square foot homes, 1,400 to 2,000 square foot. And he told me, he said, one of the reasons that we wanted to come to Guthrie is because you guys are now passing bond issues, and it's a sign that your community is moving forward.
We're doing things.
And they are investing in our community. I remember when we first moved here, Jan Goodyear was the realtor that we went around with, and we were looking at different neighborhoods for my wife and I for our home for us, and I said, Jan, these neighborhoods, they don't mention what schools they're going to be in unless they're Edmond, and he didn't really know how to address that because of his audience.
Sure.
And so when I looked at one of the new neighborhoods on South Sooner, when they've got the sign up that says Guthrie Schools,
it's exciting.
I thought, hey, that's progress.
Right. They're mentioning which school
we have made progress.
Yes, I know. And that may not seem huge or a big deal, but those are the things that you've seen in your tenure here, happen.
Well, and it's not overnight.
Right.
And a lot of it is just the perception of what the district is about.
Right.
Because perception is reality. Or we're not perfect. We've got a lot of growth.
Do you know anyone that is?
Dr.
Simpson?
Haven't found him.
Haven't found him either.
But we are moving in the right direction, and I think it's kind of a concept that I've adopted of consistent persistence. You move a little bit every day, and because you can't do it all in one day.
Right.
We couldn't handle years and years of facility decay and ignoring that in one bond issue.
Right.
But you put a plan together, you believe in it, and you work toward it a little bit every day.
Right. And I think, like you said, it's good to talk about, the pandemic was so challenging for everyone, the world, literally the world. And so to have this money come out of it, and now, like you said, you're able to put that with what the voters passed, in 2019. Look at the big things that are happening now. And Windows may not seem that exciting, but it is. It's very exciting because it's an energy savings.
It changes the look of the building that is our oldest and really most historic building in our for our district. And the building was built in 1924. The building is structurally is very solid, and it was kind of a lightning rod for previous bond issues because people did not believe that we should put any money into it, or they thought we should save it. And so what did we do? We did a study to determine whether or not it was wise to do that, and it would cost more money to replace that with a building that provides those services than it would to upgrade that building. And so that's what we're doing. And
awesome.
And the other thing that the pandemic did is it forced our hand on how we can be flexible with delivering instruction remotely and with technology.
Right.
Our district was way behind in technology when I got here in 2012. The computers that we had that were new were new to us because they were surplus from Edmond Public Schools.
Wow.
Those kinds of things. It's hard to fathom that now. And when I look back and think about the fact that in 11 years that I've been here, all of the changes that have happened, that for the most part are all good. It's really kind of to see that COVID forced our hand on the technology is gratifying to me because it gave us an opportunity.
Right.
And we seized that opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think that's important. I know that's been my own perspective too. Like we have to see the good that can come out of horrifying and also horrible times, and that was challenging for all of us. And I always, I say too, because I took over the chamber 2 weeks into the pandemic, and I thought, yay, I'm so excited for my new job. I get to speak to no one and go meet no one. And so I'm serious, hey, do your people job with no people.
I remember the Facebook Live alerts that I would get with you and your...
Every day. I mean, and now I think, but I listen back even, for me personally, I listen back to 3 years ago and I go, wow, I feel like I'm a better speaker now. I can work on the fly a little more. It challenged me, to learn something new in a very scary time. So I always say, if I can get through that, if all of us can get through that, we can now do anything.
Absolutely.
Any challenge that might come our way. So, we're talking about, advances and progress that GPS has made. So I know lots of people know, but let's talk about Cotterill. What is that? What's going to happen there with Cotterill Elementary?
Well, we have intentionally put a lot of money into our other buildings, and we have not put any money into Cotterill, and that was intentional. Cotterill was built in the 50s, and it was built as a combination junior high elementary school.
Okay.
And it was built at a time where there was no consideration for ADA accessibility for handicapped students. It was built at a time that was probably an innovative design, but it's a split level. The cafeteria is a half story below. The gym is a half story above the classroom wings. The growth from the west side of town had prompted that portable buildings have been placed there. When we switched to grades from grade centers to neighborhood schools, we tried to intentionally place that building in a position where we could dismantle those portables, do away with them because they're in bad shape too, and eventually replace that building. And it had to be the next one on our list to replace to fully replace, because it was not cost effective or feasible with the ADA challenges to try and renovate that building. And so as we explored all that, we developed a plan. It's a very tight site for a school. Had to be creative with our plan, and we're at a point now where we're close to being done with the construction documents to be ready to potentially turn dirt late spring, early summer on it.
So it'll be a brand new
It will be
school?
a brand new school. We're going to build it on where the playground is and the parking lot. That in itself is going to come with some challenges. You know, the question has come up, well, where are the kids going to have a recess? The answer to that is it's probably going to change possibly every week. We will figure something out.
Right.
You know, it's
I have
like,
no doubt.
It kind of goes back to, we were talking about COVID. I can't fathom the number of times that I said during COVID, we'll just figure it out.
That's right.
and that's what we'll do there. And we will try to phase that in where we'll be able to provide services for our kids and continue to have school there during construction in a safe manner. We selected a construction management firm, and we were intentional about making student safety an important part during a construction phase, because you know, elementary kids, they're inquisitive. They want to see those dump trucks. They want to see those backhoes, and they want to play on them if they can, and things like that. And so
have to have lots of safety measures
we'll
in
be
place.
we'll be ready for all that, and then once we get that building built, we'll demolish the current Cotterell, and that will turn into the playground.
Okay.
And so, and a parking lot in front. The building itself will, we've programmed for 500 kids. Hope we can do that. That will allow us to potentially redraw our district boundary lines so that to ease some overcrowding in some of our other buildings.
Good.
And it'll also come with a full-size gym, similar to it. It will be very similar in amenities to Charter Oak Elementary.
Okay.
The gym will be a F5 FEMA-rated storm shelter with stand-up cast concrete walls.
That's great.
And another gym to provide for not just the kids at Cotterell with PE classes, but also for our junior high basketball team, so that they have another location to practice and to make it more conducive for our kids to be able to practice with our basketball teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that what you're saying here is let's just ask for some grace and some patience from our friends at Cotterell, because we know that it might be a little complicated, but the end result is going to be well worth it.
Yeah, and it'll be 18 months of challenges for 50 years worth of work,
right,
or worth of use, and
Right.
and that's what you have to the way you have to approach it. And there's some realities about the challenges with construction when you've got school going on. Mm-hmm. I've been in districts where we've done that and been very it's challenging, and it changes daily sometimes. Sure. But our staff. They've developed flexibility too.
That's right.
Like I said, not everything with COVID was bad.
That's right. No, I think that's just so exciting. Yeah. I mean, for especially that side of town, people coming in, and I think that's just another thing that people can say, look at Guthrie, look at Guthrie doing stuff, And those things to me are just more ways to attract people to want to come here. When they see progress, people see that we're forward thinkers.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be right there on the road. People that as they come in from the west, they're going to see that, and they're going to it's going to scream that we care about our kids.
Yes. Well, kind of like the playground does at Central. Yeah. Even that changed. Yeah. I mean, it might seem small to some, but that was huge, and it took funding, and that was a partnership with State Farm, right?
Yes.
And that was huge community involvement to getting those votes and things like that. But we got, free money essentially to do that, and that's progress, which is huge.
Guthrie folks come together.
So they do.
They always do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they always do.
They do. So that was a good segue, and talking about, he didn't even do that on purpose, you guys. So anyway, I love to ask when I do these podcasts, you are not from Guthrie, just like myself. You took over running the school, superintendent 11 years ago now, which is awesome. Congrats on 11 years.
Thanks.
That's a lot. That's over a decade. But you moved your family here. Yeah. And so now you've been here for a while. This is home. Yeah. And so what are some things that you, as Mike Simpson, Dr. Mike Simpson, what are some things that you love about Guthrie?
They come together. Mm-hmm. It's a small town feel. And, you know, my wife and I both grew up in Stillwater. And people are going to think that this is not true. Stillwater is a small town.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
If you take the university away from Stillwater, mm-hmm. it's a small town. The difference is we love the geography because the grandparents are in Stillwater and they're still in good health and they're close to the kids.
That's awesome.
We're close to Oklahoma City. We're mm-hmm. close to Edmond. We're close to Stillwater, not just for the grandparents, but to go watch the Cowboys play.
Which is your alma mater.
That's right.
So.
And the community, it's all my kids know. It's all they've known. Mm-hmm. The district and the people that support the school district are sincere. And the thing that I've learned about Guthrie folks is they're genuine. Mm-hmm. And this community has, there's a whole lot of things to do in this community mm-hmm. that really don't cost a lot of money.
Right. You can walk downtown and there's something going on, a lot of times.
And in the summer months, there's not just the summer, there's always a festival of some kind that you're in the middle of.
True. Helping promote.
The fact that we are proactive, and I'm an old history teacher, the fact that we also maintain our history,
yes.
I think is something that is very unique mm-hmm. that a lot of communities haven't done.
Right.
And I think we all have always found a way, even though we might disagree, sure. we work hard for common ground. Mm-hmm. And not every community is that way. And I think that, like, coming off of COVID, we've seen the grace of the community. Mm-hmm. They've been very supportive of us. And, getting back to my family, our kids, it's Friday night at the Rock is a family affair for the Simpsons. And we go to the tailgate. We go to the football game. And as our son got a little older beforehand, my wife would take him home because it was a little,
bedtime.
Right. It was a little bit hard for him. He's not leaving now. He's staying till the end, and he might even go up to the press box before the game and hassle our broadcast team a little bit.
Right.
He thinks he runs the place,
yeah.
and so and my daughter was there, and now she wants Dad to be as far away as possible and be in the student section. And,
I can relate to that.
And that's okay too.
That's right.
But no, we've made it home, mm-hmm. and we didn't have to work hard to make it home because it was really it's been a good place for us.
Right. No, that's awesome. I love hearing that, and you and I have that in common.
Yeah.
We're from different towns and areas, and now this is home, and raising our families here, and I couldn't agree more with everything that you said about Guthrie. So just to kind of finish up here, is there anything else you want to add or talk about as far as what the future looks like for GPS? I know we covered, Cotterell and things like that, but any other exciting?
Well, just kind of a reminder that we have purchased 38 acres just west of the Sonic by I-35. Mm-hmm. And what we're going to do with that is still up in the air. That'll be up to the school board, and at some point, the goal is to develop a school site there as well. And some of that depends on our growth pattern and what that looks like and what our needs are going forward. But I think that probably what we're most proud of is the fact that we try to have a plan in place for growth so that we've tried to be proactive, mm-hmm. not reactive. And that's something that being able to have the support of the community gives that a whole lot easier path when you're trying to be proactive. And so I think that's been the catalyst to the whole thing of success with GPS.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting to watch, of course. Like I said, I'm a parent too, you know, but just to watch it all. And even, you know, before my girls were you know, old enough to be in school, like we were in Logan County and watching things happen. And so it's really exciting to be in the middle of it all. And even if, you know, I like to encourage people, if you don't have school age kids anymore, and you're in our community, I mean, show up at some of our sport. If you haven't been to a game at the Rock or now even a wrestling match, okay. Now that we've got winter sport basketball going on, you know, get out there and support the kids. That's the biggest thing you can do, is be in the stands, you know, and the school's always looking for support. There's always a fundraiser going on, because there's always, I know we laugh, but it's true. There's just lots of different ways though that you can get behind the schools and support the schools, whether it's financially or just cheering in the stands, you know, for GPS. So reach out to my office, Chamber, call Dr. Simpson, ask if, you know, what you can do to help GPS, because it takes a community, and there's always going to be a need. So anyway, well, I've really enjoyed visiting with you today. It's exciting to see all the things that are happening. Thank you for your service and just all that you do. Like, you live and breathe Guthrie and GPS, and, you know, from someone that can relate, I totally understand. But it's just awesome having you here and having you on what we call Team Guthrie, and it's just great to see all that's happening.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for your service to the chamber.
Thank
you know,
you.
there was a time a while back I was a chamber board member.
Yes.
And there were some challenging times.
Challenging
Your leadership has been great.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you. All right. Well, thanks for your time today, Dr. Simpson. Go Blue Jays. Reach out if there's you have questions or ways that you want to support. So we will see you next time for Chamber Vibes. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Chamber Vibes podcast from Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful downtown Guthrie, America.